Cloudy skies, the sun peeking through. Game 3 of 4 between the Sox and Mariners about to get underway from U.S. Cellular Field in lovely Chicago. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. It is Star Wars night tonight at the ballpark. We'll show you some of the Star Wars stuff around. The Mariners and White Sox get together again in Seattle, trying to make the playoffs, controls its own destiny in a lot of ways.
Seattle comes in tonight trailing by 6.5 games, but they've got some big games coming up against Texas. They play them 7 times in the next 10 days when they leave here. Then they've got Houston, they've got Oakland. They've got a couple of softies really in Oakland and the Angels, and hopefully they can take advantage of that. They're trying to make the wild card. They're trying to win the division. They're trying to get into the playoffs. And as far as our Sox are concerned, they're going to have a say-so into who wins their division, in that they play a lot of the Tigers, a lot of the Royals, and you see what the Twins coming up. Sox have taken advantage of the Twins, but with the Indians, the Tigers, and the Royals, our Sox are 11-26. That hasn't worked out very well, but you never know what happens late. It's fun to play the contenders, and the Sox are going to do that.
Those teams are going to get a face full of Chris Sale and Jose Quintana down the stretch. It's Jose tonight.
Jose last time out won his 10th game of the year. That's a career best for him. He was brilliant against Oakland. He threw the ball very well by using a lot of high fastballs, and when he gets ahead of hitters, he'll throw that fastball up in the zone, and more times than not, he throws it by him. So he says he's trying to be aggressive. He's trying to get some early outs early in the count, and he was able to do that, getting a standing ovation coming out. His last 6 starts, he's been brilliant. The ERA at 1.98. Ariel Miranda, who goes to the mound, is a Cuban left-hander who last time out got a no decision of 5 2/3. I think you're going to like his stuff. It's pretty good. But as so many pitchers without a whole lot of experience, he's got to learn to command the breaking ball especially.
Well, we'll see what happens. Seattle and the Sox tonight. Game number 3. They've split the first 2. The force is strong with this one from 35th and Shields. Hello, how are you? To R2 and his friends. Little Darth Vader's here too. Sox and Mariners next.
White Sox baseball on CSN Chicago is brought to you in part by Toyota. Discover more in a Toyota. Visit buyatoyota.com or your local Toyota dealer today. Let's go places. Blue Cross and Blue Shield of Illinois. Through it all. Audi. Truth in engineering. And by Xfinity. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV.
Back to U.S. Cellular Field with Southpaw Jedi Knight taking care of security outside. Sox and Mariners game number 3 here at the ballpark this weekend. It's got a little hotter out. Temperature rising slightly as Scott Servais, the former Astros catcher among others, returns to U.S. Cellular Field with his Mariners. A former front office guy, now manager, and Robin Ventura in his 5th season, having one final conversation before the proceedings get underway on a Saturday evening on the south side of Chicago. And the Mariners are going to go with Ariel Miranda, who they got near the trade deadline for Wade Miley from the Baltimore Orioles.
They think they've got themselves a pretty good pitcher. He's got a very good fastball, and he throws a splitter. He throws a splitter as a wipeout pitch. He'll use a straight change when he gets ahead. So he's going to watch Jose Quintana go to the mound throwing a whole lot of strikes, and he's going to try to emulate him tonight.
Jose's ready, and so we'll give you the starting lineup for the Mariners, presented by Kia. Seattle is a home run hitting ball club, and there's a reason why. Robinson Cano in that 3 spot has 29 homers. Kyle Seager is back in the lineup. Dae-Ho Lee returns from AAA, where he was absolutely demolishing the baseball. A deep lineup today for the Mariners.
The Honda City defensive setup and how they're going to line up behind Jose Quintana. Melky Cabrera reemerges in the lineup with Adam Eaton and Avisail Garcia in the outfield. Todd Frazier, Tim Anderson, Tyler Saladino, Jose Abreu in the infield. Alex Avila behind the plate. And our Lexus Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher is Jose Quintana, fresh off his career best 10th win. Looking for number 11 with an ERA at 2.84. 142 strikeouts, 164 and 2/3 innings. He gets the ball over the plate and, for the most part, keeps the ball in the ballpark. The umpires for the game tonight: Paul Emmel behind the plate. The crew chief, John Hirschbeck, is at first. DJ Raybird at second. Vic Carapazza at third. So the Mariners come in 6.5 games in back of the Texas Rangers. They're right in the middle of the wild card chase, but they have designs on the division race if they can get hot. So they've thrown the ball around the infield. Jose Quintana is ready to go, as are we. So Jason, bring home a winner tonight.
Do our best, Steve. We'll do our best from up here in the booth. If we had control over that, we'd probably be in another line of work.
Yes, very lucrative one, yes. I assume.
Crystal Ball Factory of Southern Arizona. Leonis Martin, Guillermo Heredia, Robinson Cano, 3 batters scheduled to face Jose Quintana, the Colombian left-hander. 27 years of age. Quintana to Martin. First pitch of our ball game tonight at 6:11 is inside for ball number 1. Told you Seattle is a home run hitting ball club. The Mariners come in with 177 homers this year. That's 3rd best in the American League, behind only Baltimore and Toronto. That ball smoked by Martin to right field and off the wall. Martin on his way to second. He is safe with a leadoff 2-base hit to right.
Really didn't have a chance to tell you because it happened so quickly, but Martin this year 50 points better against left-hand pitchers, which is really amazing for a left-hand hitter. But he keeps that front shoulder in, keeps his head down on the ball, does not pull off it at all, and drills this ball off the wall. Avi does a very good job of getting it back in and actually making it close at second, but an ominous way to start the ball game.
With that double, runner in scoring position for Guillermo Heredia for the Mariners, who have made a bundle of roster moves today. We've seen Mike Freeman go down to AAA. Nori Aoki is down to AAA. Dae-Ho Lee is back from AAA and playing first base today. As that ball gets away from Alex Avila, who's back from injury. in his first start, and Martin to third.
It looked like it had a chance to be a pass ball. It's certainly one that Alex should have caught, but this is his first game back in a long time. He let that one get away. It is indeed a pass ball, and it moves Martin to third base, and now you just don't bring the infield in. You got nobody out. It's the first inning. You're going to concede the run on a ground ball.
Heredia 8 for 35 this year. In a brief stint with the Mariners. Takes ball 2. Well, Seattle for most of this series was carrying just 6 pitchers in the bullpen, but they have added to their bullpen today with the switch pitcher, Pat Venditti. Throws both right and left. We've seen him with the Blue Jays already this year. Came over in a trade. On the ground, Quintana, a glance at third, and one down in the first.
Martin could have easily have gotten trapped off. He started to come down the line and realized that it's time to get back. Good play by Jose as he looks at him, takes a step toward him. And so now with one out, now you're thinking about bringing the infield in.
And the Sox will do that. That play at third, by contrast to last night's game for the Sox, Robin Ventura said after the game, he said, we didn't deserve to win that game with how we ran the bases last night.
Now, there was one other factor in that, and we'll get to that in a minute.
First, Robinson Cano with a runner at third, one down. There's a high fly ball right field. Avi is back at the warning track to make the catch. Martin tags and scores, and the Mariners have a 1-0 lead.
Cano realized that he had to hit one. If he wasn't going to get a base hit, obviously you're looking to hit a fly ball in that situation, and he got a pitch he could handle. It was around waist high. Lifted it fairly deep to right center field, and the Mariners are on the board first.
That currently will go as an unearned run against Quintana, with the pass ball moving Martin to third. Accidental swing for Cruz, 0-1.
The big point about having the 3 guys taken off base, 2 on base running, starting before actually Hernandez threw the ball, the other a line drive double play on a ball hit in front of you.
Towering chopper. Second base, Saladino throws out Cruz. And that'll do it for the Mariners. More on last night after this. Sox will go to the bat rack, trailing 1-0. Known as the Kia starting lineup. Adam Eaton leads off, and Tim Anderson, Melky Cabrera, Abreu, Frazier, who's had a season worth against the Mariners in 5 games, Morneau, Garcia, Avila, Saladino, your starting 9.
On the City defensive setup and how they're going to line up behind Ariel Miranda, Heredia, Martin, and Gutierrez in the outfield, with Kyle Seager back in their lineup. Ketel Marte, Robinson Cano, Dae-Ho Lee. Chris Iannetta gets a nod behind the plate, and their Lexus Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher is Ariel Miranda. He's not a soft-tossing left-hander. He'll get it up there 93, 94 miles an hour with a pretty good splitter, but not a refined breaking ball.
His slider numbers are, let's say, microscopic. He throws the slider 3.8% of the time.
That's really because he has literally no confidence in it. Although he decided to throw one there. But he doesn't usually get it over the plate. That's a problem. In fact, first pitch over the last month, he's thrown less than 50% strikes. That'll usually get you some earned runs.
Close no cigar there, 2-1 for Adam Eaton, who was 0 for 3 last night with a walk and a strikeout, and the Sox lost 3-1. One of those games, though, where you say, hey, look, we watched Felix Hernandez and Chris Sale go at each other all night long.
It was just a great pitchers matchup. It lived up to the billing. There you look at the numbers. The 4th start of the year for Miranda. ERA a little above 4.5.
3-1. Eaton in the air, left-hand side. Heredia. Time to show you our picks to click for tonight. Don't forget you can vote on whitesox.com/pick-to-click. Fans go Tyler Saladino. I've got Alex Avila. Our crew stuck on 13 goes Abreu, and Steve very well stuck on 7 goes back to Melky.
I'm a closer.
How's that?
Well, I let the pack get out and then I close.
Oh.
Like the racehorse.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so I should have 8 by the end of the season.
Thought you were going to start talking about the Tour de France. There, you're avoiding the pack, the peloton.
No, I can't.
You just can't contractually?
Can't. No pelotons.
1 strike on Anderson, and there's a ground ball foul.
But to complete the thought, the 3 quick outs, the 3 outs that wouldn't have normally been made, kept the pitch count down for Felix Hernandez on a night when they had a short bullpen. So they didn't really have a pretty good bridge to Edwin Diaz. But by 3 quick outs, keeping the pitch count down, it made sure that Diaz could come in in the 8th inning, close it out, bases loaded, only 1 out. Diaz has great stuff. A wonderful play by O'Malley at 3rd. But if Felix leaves in the 7th, they don't go to Diaz then. That was the big part of giving them 3 outs.
That ball smoked to right center field by Anderson into the alleyway. And there go the Jets for Anderson. He peels around second, racing for third. Tim Anderson, a 1-out triple in the first.
He took that one high and away and drilled it into right center field. And with the speed of Tim Anderson, he's going to see a few of those this year. That was a slider. That's one of the reasons why Miranda doesn't throw too many of them. That one hung on the outside part of the plate. And Anderson is off to the races. That's his 3rd triple of the year. Puts him in scoring position for the recently healthy Melky Cabrera.
The flu bug got him for a couple of days. Melky in the lineup for the first time this series against the Mariners. And Seattle plays the infield back with 1 out.
If he does drive home the tying run, that should be enough to award him the pick to click early in this one.
You know what? Not much of a superstitious guy, but maybe, just maybe, if you lobbied less, you'd have a better chance of winning picks to click.
I don't think so.
Sack fly coming up. Gutierrez under it. Anderson leaves 3rd to score. And it's a 1-1 ball game in the first.
The run scored the exact same way. A sacrifice fly and a fly ball to right field. Only this time it's Melky with his 58th. With that first White Sox run, E-Click Lending has donated $100 to the Pat Tillman Foundation, supporting military veterans and their families.
Easy enough for Tim, who trots home. And here is Jose Abreu, who's on a current 9-game hit streak. Slugging percentage up to .453 for Abreu. Accuse that foul. 1 ball, 1 strike. Sox won the opener of this series. If you missed it, 7-6 with a run in the 9th inning as Todd Frazier played at Adam Eaton. Game winner in the 9th. And last night the Sox, as we were talking about, had a big chance in the 8th inning. Bases loaded, 1 out. And Edwin Diaz and his vibrant right arm up from Double-A not all that long ago came in and shut down the Sox.
A 5-out save. He's now 11 for 11. When you can throw 100 and you've got a slider that looks like that, you're going to get your share of saves. When we saw him in Seattle, he was not the closer yet.
Crack to center field. Martinez back, and he's got no play. That is a shrubbery shot for Abreu to center field. 2-1.
That's the 18th of the year. He now has driven in 72, and that a no-doubter. A line drive rocket on the Ford home run replay. Miranda does not have a sinker. Consequently, he's going to give up a lot of fly balls, and sometimes if they're hit hard enough, they go out of the ballpark, as that one did to straightaway center. Probably was about 430 feet. Nice blast.
I don't know you want to face Jose Abreu right now.
No, he's been something.
So this from the lovely world of Twitter. Folks that have followed the Sox know Night Train Beck, who is basically the director of fun in the Sox front office,
yes,
among others. For every run the Sox scored tonight, Night Train's going to eat a taco. And so fire up the cantina.
Wow, can I put the sauce on them?
Yourself?
You know, I would. Yeah, I'd like to get a nice ghost pepper sauce for you.
Where's that on the Scoville scale?
It's up there.
Yeah.
It's not the hottest, but it's in the neighborhood. It laughs at habanero. It scoffs at it. Habanero, you're a wimp.
You've always done a great habanero impersonation. I'm just glad America got to hear it tonight. 2-2 to Frazier. He is in the dirt. 3 balls, 2 strikes. By the way, with the Jose Abreu home run, another generous donation from the Alex Nellius family in loving memory of Ursula. There's Jose enjoying the aftermath of his solo shot to give the Sox the lead. And the inning continues. Ball 4 to Frazier with 2 out.
And here comes Mel Stottlemyre to have a word with Miranda. And even though they brought up a couple of pitchers out of that bullpen, they just as soon not go to him quite this early.
Well, Miranda has the option of talking to Stottlemyre or remaining silent.
Well, it looks like Robinson Cano is interpreting for him. Otherwise, he wouldn't have his glove over his lips. And Mel is talking to everybody. Chris Iannetta just standing around in case they break into Italian.
You know, I always wondered what catchers were doing out there while the pitching coach was talking. That's been answered for us tonight.
You never know when that pops into the conversation.
Sox have 2 of the 4 for the team's cycle in the inning. They have the triple and the home run. Going to throw to first on Frazier. I think the discussion was, hey, when I leave, throw to first.
Because they won't hit that one. Lee is actually surprisingly good first baseman. He's got very good hands down there, although he doesn't have a lot of range.
Ball one on Justin Morneau, who's 1 for 8 in the series. There is Dae-Ho Lee. You look at the numbers in AAA with Tacoma. He was 14 out of 27 in a brief stint in the Pacific Coast League.
Well, they actually wanted him to probably spend till September 1st down there, but it didn't work out. They had to call him back, and the fact that he was hitting the daylights out of it was certainly a factor, but he had such a bad August, something like 2 for 22 in August, and July wasn't all that good. He was hitting in the low 200s, so they wanted him to get his confidence back.
There's a strike, 2-1 on Morneau. 5 homers, 16 RBIs with the Sox, slugging at .466. It's off the plate, 3-1 on Morneau after the Frazier walk.
Trying to keep everything low and away from Justin Morneau, as you can see by the Toyota pitch tracks.
Three-one. Up the middle into center field. The inning continues. Frazier on his way to third. Save!
Todd was able to beat the arm of Leonis Martin, but usually that's not a good recipe, especially with the third out of the inning. But this one rifled back up the middle. Justin is looking for a fastball, 3-1. He got it. And Todd takes a look and then turns on the Jets. And fortunately, Martin throws this one off the mark.
Well, when somebody shuts you down the night before, the best way to get right back on the horse is a 7-batter at least first inning in which to take the lead.
We talked about Martin having some problems with his command, especially on the fastball, and we've seen that here tonight.
Avi Garcia now with a swing and a miss from Ariel Miranda.
That was his changeup. He throws the changeup to get ahead. Then he throws the splitter as the wipeout pitch, but Sox haven't allowed him to get to that wipeout situation.
Avi Garcia this year with runners in scoring position and 2 out is hitting .419, which is second best in the American League.
Yeah, that's a good habit to get into and a wonderful number. Miranda doesn't have a big fastball. Should be a good matchup.
Line foul right side 1-2, and you can debate the merits of scoring position 2 out, whether it's luck, fortune, situation, whatever it might be. It's not the easiest spot to hit in.
No, and it's also second in the league. So regardless of what the number is, if it's second in the league, you're doing pretty well, and it means that he's able to concentrate in situations that really help the ball club.
Pitch number 31 of the inning for Miranda. Fades inside, 2-2. Mariners might be pretty happy they called up some extra arms from AAA before this game. Well, one from AAA, one from AA. Two. Ground ball, third base side. Seager off the bobble to second. Got him by about a quarter of a step on Morneau. Sox lead 2-1 at the end of 1.
Miller time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
We always look forward to that. You
Later in the
telling
game.
us that Miller time's coming up.
Yes, and then we highlight the Miller moment or moments.
We may have seen it already. You never know. Quintana bankrolled to a 2-1 lead. Abreu with a home run, a sacrifice fly as well in the first inning from Melky Cabrera. And so here is Kyle Seager, who, while he's been injured, his brother has had quite the week in Los Angeles.
Kyle Seager is a very good player, one of the better third basemen around. His brother, however, has a much higher ceiling.
Corey, a home run today, 23. It's a franchise record for the Dodgers for home runs by a shortstop.
Dodger Stadium has been a very difficult place to hit the ball out of historically. They've moved the fences in somewhat, so it's a little livelier now. In day games, the ball will fly. At nighttime, it's kind of dead in the alleys. But usually just the big, strong guys hit it out. So for a shortstop with 23, shows you how much power he really has. And the fact is, he's going to be the Rookie of the Year.
So that's why you told those kids outside the stadium today that your favorite ballpark to pitch in was Dodger Stadium because of the alleys and the expansiveness.
That's exactly right. Being a high ball pitcher, it's much better to pitch in a very big ballpark.
2-2 on Kyle Seager. Brother broke up that no-hitter a couple of nights ago against Matt Moore and the Giants. Two. Swing and a miss. Strike three. Down goes Seager for the first strikeout for Quintana tonight.
He takes a little something off this breaking ball, spots it perfectly, and Seager, his first day back after fouling a ball off his right foot. A strikeout victim.
Brings up Franklin Gutierrez, who's just 1 for his last 18, but that one was a homer last night in the second inning. Strike one. Fouled off of him. 0-2 on Gutierrez, who's 2 for 9 career against Quintana.
That race in the NL West is shaping up to be a good one. Los Angeles, a 1.5 lead over San Francisco. San Francisco entertaining Atlanta tonight. Dodgers, for the first time in their series, able to beat the Cubs 3-2. They got a young lefty, Urias, who is just outstanding.
He's been back and forth from AAA. They've talked about his innings number. What will they max him out as? Some people thought maybe reliever at some point down the line with him, but he's got stuff.
And they certainly have to fill out their starting rotation because of injuries, but they are getting Clayton Kershaw back.
Ground ball. Frazier cuts off Anderson. And there is out number 2. Live out your dream of becoming a professional baseball player by attending the White Sox Dodgers Fantasy Camp. Speaking of the Dodgers, January 15th through the 21st at the spring training home of the Sox and Dodgers at Camelback Ranch in Glendale, Arizona. For more info, call the Fantasy Camp hotline 623-302-5078. Sign up by going to whitesox.com and click on Fantasy Camp.
A fun time to be had by all.
Great stories, great hamstring pulls.
Usually you're going to get through it a little nicked up.
It's no joke. I mean, it's some hard work. It's some real baseball.
You actually have to get in some kind of decent shape to go down there for a week of baseball.
Pulled a strike on Dae-Ho Lee, up from AAA Tacoma.
Well, you've got a home run hitter and you've got a pitcher who doesn't give up a lot of home runs. So an interesting confrontation. historically, Jose Quintana has kept the ball in the park.
Lee lofts it foul, 1-2.
And this year, only 8.6% of the fly balls against Jose Quintana have left the ballpark. That's actually 6th out of 137 qualified starting pitchers. So with a league average a little over 13%, he's done a nice job of not throwing the long ball. And when he does, normally it's a solo home run.
Here's called strike 3 in a 1-2-3 inning for Quintana. 6 in a row pushed aside after the leadoff double. 2-1 Sox. Our White Sox Insider all season long on CSNChicago.com, presented by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Escape your everyday. Shop The Great Escape. Alex Avila, Tyler Saladino, Adam Eaton summoned to the plate against the left-hander Ariel Miranda, native of Cuba. First pitch is there for a strike. Paul Emmel doesn't have your normal strike call behind the plate. It's more of a spasm than a call. Arm just shoots off to the side.
I was going to say, as long as he verbally lets a hitter know, that's good. Yeah, you're right. It is kind of a, we'll take a look at it. It's like he's throwing away maybe a cup from a fast food store.
2 strikes on Avila. And it's kind of like, you know, those little hammers they use to test your reflexes. They hit your knee and your knee goes up.
Yeah.
It's as though somebody's hitting Paul Emmel in the elbow and his arm just kind of flails out.
He's adopted that style.
1-2 on Alex, who was put on the disabled list July the 6th. He's back from that hamstring injury and had one setback in his first rehab assignment. That rehab was stopped. He was sent back to Charlotte, played down there for a short while, and now back in a game for the first time in about a month and a half. There's strike 3 and the first punch out for Miranda.
The called third is a different strike call.
It is.
Than the other 2.
It's less, let's say, vigorous.
Maybe because it means a little more.
So you're underselling the biggest one? There's Saladino, ball 1.
No, just a little more movement. He's got both arms involved in the ring up.
1-0 Ball 2. Tyler Saladino, 6 home runs this year, 10 for his career, 8 have come in this ballpark. Marte at short. One motion for out number 2. So Miranda has seen the choppy seas calm here in the second inning, at least so far.
Probably the first thing that Adam does in a situation like this with the left-hander on the mound who falls off to the third base side is take a look at where Seager is going to set up to think about laying one down. Seager now coming in on the grass.
Oh, 1. 1 ball, 1 strike for Eaton, who flied out to left in the first inning. Part of a 2-run first inning for the Sox. Anderson a triple, Melky a sac fly, Abreu a home run. Ball buzzes into the stands. 1 and 2
That
for Eaton.
was really fortunate that it hit the tarp and then kind of trickled into the stands. Otherwise, that would be a missile honing in on somebody. Because there's a lot of people here on Star Wars night.
You're a big Star Wars fan. I know you are.
I loved it. And on a very warm and humid night, those are delightful costumes.
Chewbacca?
That is the Walmart Chewbacca.
Jabba the Hutt. That's right. It's Jabba the Hutt. To shortstop, Marte. And out number 3. 1-2-3 inning for Miranda. 2-1 Sox.
Throughout the game, use the hashtag White Sox Talk on Twitter. Be sure to follow at CSN White Sox all season long for the latest news and your favorite team.
Jose Quintana on his way into the third inning with a first pitch high. Ball number 1 to Chris Iannetta, the veteran catcher. We were visited between half innings by the Goldberg family, who stopped on by. Ryan, Reagan, and Reese to say hello. Some lovely folks got to take in batting practice today as Abreu makes the catch for out number 1. They're from not far from where Chris Sale went to college at Florida Gulf Coast in Fort Myers. Hey, Sox fans, you win with Papa John's Pizza all season long. Day after the Sox win, get 50% off your entire online order of regular menu-priced items only at papajohns.com when you use promo code SOXWIN at participating Papa John's locations. Better ingredients, better pizza. Papa John's. Here's Ketel Marte. To look at strike number 1 from Jose Quintana.
When Jose Quintana gets you 0-2, you got some problems.
You do?
Yeah, and when he gets you with just 2 strikes in any count, you have some very bad problems.
Like here.
Like here, because opponents hitting just 139 against Jose on 2 strike counts this season. League average 179. So we'll see how Marte fares and see if that 139 holds up.
Pop-up foul. You know, Chris Sale last night in his complete game, when he got batters to 2 strikes, 89% of the time they were out. The league average is 75%. So the Mariners, at least last night, were having trouble with 2 strikes against a very strong lefty. And in the same spot here, we'll see what happens with Quintana.
You just got the feeling last night after giving up 3, Chris got mad. And when he did that, that was it. For a pretty good hitting ball club. And on the other side of the page, former Cy Young Award winner Felix Hernandez realized when he got his 3 runs, there was a very good chance he wasn't going to get any more. And that was the best game that he's pitched all year. So just a wonderful pitcher's duel. Unfortunately, it worked out the wrong way, but it didn't diminish the efforts of both of those guys. And Felix knew he had to go deep into the ball game because they had the 6-man, very depleted pen.
1-2. Center field. Eaton breaks on it. 2 away in the 3rd inning. I know you've said before that the best pitching performance individually you've seen is the Kerry Wood game against the Astros.
20 strikeouts, no walks on a 1-hitter, and that was a debatable hit.
But what about best combined pitching performance, starting pitching, both guys going at it? You have time to think.
Yeah, but do I have the capacity? I know I have the
Well,
time.
that's been in question.
Yeah.
For what, 3
right.
decades of.
Yeah. I wonder if my family will commit me before the end of the season, but I don't know. Combined, I really don't know. I do remember one game Steve Carlton pitched, 1972, when his Philadelphia team won 59 games and he was 27-10. I'd never seen anything that dominant. And he was brilliant.
Ground ball to first. Quintana's cruising 9 in a row, 2.5 deep. Jose's got a lead. It's 2-1 Sox.
Advantage stat. Jose Abreu and Todd Frazier this homestand. You can add one more home run to the total of Jose Abreu and one more driven in, but both of them doing pretty good. On base percentage, 464 for Jose, 357, both of them pretty good. Slugging percentage, very good. OPS, otherworldly for Jose and very good for Todd Frazier. So they've taken advantage of a very long homestand, which has one more game after tonight.
It's a 1:10 start time tomorrow. Sunday afternoon baseball at U.S. Cellular Field. A hat tip to the folks selecting the music here, by the way. We got some Sam Cooke in between half innings, which is very nice on another Saturday night. You ain't got nobody.
That's exactly right.
You got some money, though. You just got paid. 2 strikes on Anderson, who tripled on this count last time up.
Well, on the TV side for Seattle, Mike Blowers, a former Major League third baseman, talking about a couple different things before the game. One of the things he talked about is he likes everything that Tim Anderson does. Base running, lively bat, and he really likes his fielding. So, he's certainly going to get better base running, but he's going to be a prolific base stealer. And lively bat you can't teach, and he's got one of those.
Sharply hit, backhand for Seager. 1 out. Tomorrow is Husky Day at U.S. Cellular Field. When you purchase tickets using the Northern Illinois University ticket code, receive a ticket voucher good for a White Sox NIU co-branded hat. Northern Illinois University, your future, our focus. Purchase your tickets today at whitesox.com/NIU. The NIU football team, not far from its opener in Laramie, Wyoming this year to take on the Cowboys at high elevation.
Are the Cowboys loaded this year?
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, if Romo comes through, certainly, but. Oh, you
Yeah,
mean the
he's hurt.
Wyoming Cowboys?
Tony Romo just got hurt today.
Yeah.
Back problems.
He's got a weak back.
He's got a fractured back.
Ooh, that is
That'll
back.
make it weak.
That is back problems.
That's low. 3-0 on Melky. Yeah, preseason football, you're just asking for your depth chart to be torn to ribbons.
And that one just barely had the top of the zone.
3-1. Wrap to third. Seager again for out number 2.
Mike Blowers is also talking about the fact that he kept watching that play at third base by Sean O'Malley that happened in the 8th inning. And he said, I knew it was a good play. And we talked about that being a really good play. He said, but when I saw it again and again, I realized that it was a great play. And Mike was the third baseman. He said he's made those plays before. But when he looked and realized there was no angle to make the throw, and that Zunino had to give him the target well wide to the first base side of home, he said it looked even better. It turned out to be a game saver.
1990s third baseman Mike Blowers.
Yep.
He always waited for those Mariners teams to do just a little bit more. Not by any fault of his or anything. They had that collection of players with Ken Griffey Jr. and Blowers, and when Randy Johnson was there. A lot of talent. Edgar, Tino Martinez.
They had a lot of talent.
Yeah. 2-1. Pop up, middle infield. Cano says, wait there, Mr. Marte. 1-2-3 inning for Miranda, his second in a row, and the offenses have been quieted. 2-1 Sox. a new item for the prize shelf too, Steve.
We do. Before the game, you were kind enough to order something from the lovely young lady who brought it, and we have onion rings.
Helmet of onion rings is on the prize shelf for you to win in
Right.
Sox Math today. Yeah.
And by the time you get this, the helmet is going to be much more desirable than the onion rings, I believe. I might be wrong,
They
but I
keep
believe
very
so.
well. They really do,
Yeah.
folks.
We have other things, terrific things. The JH hat that we couldn't give away if we gave away 100 of them.
Jay Happ is on the prize shelf.
If he was, with his wins, somebody would have taken him
Somebody
already.
take him.
Especially one of the teams in the race.
Well, the big positive of the prize
There
shelf
it
is it doesn't have to clear waivers.
At this point in the year, you're right.
Yeah, the Bill Veeck bobbleleg doll is still there. Southpaw, the Jedi Knight Southpaw, available to win as well in Sox Math tonight.
I don't want to say that the onion rings are greasy, but they just slid out of the booth.
Even in the helmet, you didn't even touch them.
So have a good time with that, folks.
We'll get them to you 3-4 days. 1-1. It's in the dirt. 2 balls and a strike on Guillermo Heredia. In all seriousness, those are very tasty onion rings, though. Had a couple last night, and now
Yeah.
I've just decided to donate them to the prize shelf. Mariners got a leadoff double from Martin, and nobody's reached since. That's normally where somebody gets a hit and I get blamed for it.
Not this time. Jose is fallen behind Heredia. It's a fastball, and he wants it on the inside part of the plate.
There it is, 3-2 on Heredia.
Heredia was taking all the way as a table setter ahead of Cano, Cruz, and Seager. He knows his job is to get on, not necessarily swing the bat when he's that far ahead of the pitcher.
Called strike 3, pinpoint from Quintana.
Third strikeout of the night, this of the called variety. So 2 called, 1 swinging, and a perfect pitch. It was low, it was on the inner portion, and it was definitely in the zone.
One out for Robinson Cano, whose sacrifice fly gave the Mariners their only run thus far tonight. A hook for a strike to start Cano.
Cano's had a miraculous year. He's going to fly by all of his numbers from last year. He had 21 home runs last year. He's got 28 of them already. And with the run batted in tonight, 81 driven in. Just a very smooth, very talented player.
By wins above replacement, he's the 12th best player in Major League Baseball. 2 strikes on Cano. And of the guys that are in the top 12 in that category, Cano has the 4th best strikeout rate. So you see a lot of the guys who put up big offensive numbers strike out a bunch. He has stayed away from at least the lofty numbers you see from a guy like Mike Trout even, or Chris Bryant. Saladino at second. 2 out in the 4th inning. Here's your Sox Math question for tonight. Hashtag Sox Math. First correct answer on Twitter wins a prize. Number of Sox wins this homestand, plus Chris Sale's strikeout total last night. Divide the number on the diamond of Tim Anderson's defensive position. Then subtract the number of times Omar Narvaez has started a major league game and gone hitless. Hitless nights in a start for Omar Narvaez, the final part of that. And please do not use order of operations. Go in order that it's on the screen. Can't believe we have to say that, but we do.
Really?
Yeah.
I think tonight is a little easier than the Elvis edition last night.
But for the Elvis fans, I mean, a lot of Elvis fans played last night. For Elvis fans, that was easy. That was a lob.
Really?
Yeah.
Ooh, even Joe Group says it was. So I was laboring under a misconception.
Well, Joe owns 25% of the real estate on Lonely Street. He doesn't live there. He just sells it off to people who are down on their luck. 2 balls and a strike on Nelson Cruz.
Nelson's got some big power the opposite way, and we'll see if Jose decides to stay inside. Avila wanted a fastball away, and that's where he's going.
It is outside. It's 3-1 on Cruz.
And Tyler Saladino playing up the middle. Jose well wide of the bag at first base. And the outfield almost straight away. Maybe a couple of steps to the right of center.
And he swats it through. Base hit for Cruz. With 2 out. That breaks 11 in a row, finished off by Quintana.
A couple of nights ago, a good friend of mine came to the ballpark with a huge group. Frank Osowski and his son Ben. And they raised some money for the First Fund, F-I-R-S-T. So Frank and Ben, glad you were here.
Two out, 1 on for Seager, who struck out in the 2nd inning, his first strikeout in 9 days. So 5 games worth, plus the couple that he was on the shelf with the foot injury. Breaking ball strike, 1-1.
For Sox fans, Seager's always going to be known as the man who hit the grand slam in the 14th inning to tie the game at 5-5. Never been done before. Scoreless through 13. The Sox score 5, and the Mariners come back with a 5 of their own. But a happy ending. The Sox wound up winning that one in 15.
What's one more inning between friends, right?
Well, there's a situation where you figure it's pretty much put away with 5 in the 14th, but it was not to be. Here to see the man you're looking at.
You're going to say he turned the page to the 15th?
For those Bob fans, yeah.
1-2 from Quintana. And a throw to first.
They do, by the way, have a third Seager, and he's in the minor league system of the Mariners.
He's a very athletic family from not far from the center of NASCAR country in Concord, North Carolina. Not far as well from a bunch of the Sox minor league affiliates, with Kannapolis, the single A team, being just down the road a piece. Winston-Salem's not far of a hike, about an hour away. In fact, the Kannapolis Intimidators, the Sox farm club down there, is named after Dale Earnhardt, the Intimidators. 2-2. There's strike 3, and the inning's over. 4th strikeout for Quintana. Still 2-1 Sox going to the bottom of the 4th.
both sides of town, including features, analysis, and much more. Make sure you don't miss Bases Loaded Monday at 6:30 on CSN Chicago.
A high leverage television program, Bases Loaded. There's Star Wars Southpaw, the Jedi Knight. His lightsaber was taken away by that guy.
He is minus the lightsaber.
One of the stormtroopers there as well. Ball one to Todd Frazier. Yeah, there's a strike, 1-1. Todd has either gotten on base in this series or struck out. All of his outs have been strikeouts. Everything else has put him on. And here's a pop-up foul. 1-2. Todd's been glued to the Little League World Series. Always interested in who's going to win after his Toms River team was the champion when he was a little tyke. And Endwell, New York, the winners today. And they will face South Korea tomorrow.
South Korea normally has a very good team. So that's going to be a challenge. What a thrill it must have been as a very young Frazier to have won it all.
2-2 on Todd. We've seen footage of it before. He was the star of the team. Routinely was intentionally walked in Little League. Todd Frazier.
When you took a look at his swing, you couldn't blame them.
Pop up on the infield. Lee called off by Cano, who veers to make the catch. Hit the beach on December 3rd with Ron Kittle, Harold Baines, and some of your favorite White Sox players. Travel to Iberostar Playa Mita in Riviera Nayarit, Mexico for a week of fun activities and VIP events. Visit applevacations.com/White Sox to book. Oh boy, somebody's in trouble. The stormtroopers have them surrounded. Oh, they're just taking a picture.
Again, 83 degrees with fairly substantial humidity. They must be a delight tonight.
Stormtroopers everywhere. Well, at least we know we're safe.
You're not kidding. I talked to the couple of guards out there guarding the booth, and I told them specifically, make sure the stormtroopers don't get in tonight.
Well, thank you for doing that.
Just in case.
I thought you were going to ask for your UFC buddy.
Who?
To stop by again and fracture my neck.
I would have to. No, I'd have to communicate with her to get her here again. There was a look of panic on your eyes, as I think as she was cutting off the oxygen.
And rightfully so. There was a slinking, an approach, and then just darkness. Ball and 2 strikes on Morneau, who singled back in the first. Sox lead 2-1 thanks to a sac fly from Melky Cabrera in the first inning and a Jose Abreu solo homer. 1-2. Morneau tags it center field. Martin stationed short of the warning track.
After the first inning, both of these pitchers seemingly found the rhythm and much better location. Miranda looked especially shaky in the first, giving up the triple, the home run, the single, and the walk, but got out of it with just 2 runs. And since then, he's pretty tough. As you can see, 32 pitches in the first inning. 9 straight retired by Miranda since then.
He faces Avi Garcia. Ball number 1 to Avisail Garcia, who grounded out 5-4 in the first inning with 2 on, 2 out. Called a strike, 1-1. Well, you were talking earlier about the Yankees. They have won again today. They're 67 and 61. That puts them still 5.5 back of Toronto, which won against the Twins 8-7. That's a fair ball down the line for Garcia. And he takes off for second with a 2-out double.
So the 9 in a row by the boards as Avi takes it right down the line. And that one just kind of faded the inside part of the plate. And no chance for Seager, who was playing off the line.
You're talking about that American League East. And the Yankees opened 5.5 out of first, 3.5 out of the wild card in Baltimore. And we talked about the Mariners being involved in this wild card chase as well at 68 and 60, but entering play today, they're just a game and a half up on those Yankees.
With the young kids that the Yankees have brought up, they've really done an enormous job, and it's not necessarily that they're winning games, it's how they're winning. They are clobbering people. They're scoring a prodigious amount of runs.
13 today, double figures yesterday against the Orioles. So now the spread between those two teams is 2.5 games for third place in the East.
Gary Sanchez has hit 11 home runs. He's played in 21 games. He has 11 home runs. Somewhat miraculous.
Fastest in Major League Baseball history to 11 homers.
Well, last night we heard some of the other names in Yankee history who'd hit 10 in 20 games. Anytime you're on any list with Babe Ruth that doesn't include strikeouts, you're getting it done.
Garcia at second, 2 out. Miranda against Avila. Alex just back from the DL. Takes ball number 3.
Tyler Saladino in the on-deck circle.
(3-1). That's low, ball 4. 2 on with 2 out for the Sox here in the 4th inning.
First walk since the first and only second of the night. Scott Service with Tim Bogar to his right. Scott got a chance to pretty much reassemble his own coaching staff, something that most managers don't get a chance to do. But talking with Scott about how he went through that process, he said it really helped to work in the front office and do just about everything. He was an international scout. He was in charge of the farm system. He was an assistant general manager and did it for a couple of different teams. And he said he understood how to put together a baseball team. It really helped him going into the dugout and then managing.
To which he then said it's helped him as a manager just to manage for a couple of months. He's got a much greater understanding and wider understanding of how to do the job just by being in the seat. Up the middle, center field, Saladino. Avi's around third. Martin throws it up the line, and Avi Garcia scores. It's 3-1.
RBI number 27, and once again they run on Leonis Martin. Joe McEwing thought Avi's got speed. Let's put the pressure on the defense. So he gives him the go-ahead. And here he comes. Here comes the throw, and you see the throw well off the line. If Ionnet is able to come up with this on the short hop, would have been a miraculous catch. I don't know if he would have had him anyway, but it's a moot point, seeing as the ball bounced away.
So the Sox get a run out of whole cloth with 2 out. And Adam Eaton, the hitter, with 2 on. .81 pitches for Miranda. Sox leaning on him again here in the 4th. 0-2. Saladino at first, Avila at second, with a single and a walk respectively. 0-2 from Miranda. Is in the dirt. Just a couple starts into his Mariners career. The question is, how long of a leash do Stottlemyre and Service have for Ariel Miranda?
Well, they're going to Texas. And although they have another game to play tomorrow, going to Texas, you want to make sure that your bullpen is as healthy as possible, because those boys can hit it. And that's one of the reasons why they want to see Miranda go as deep into this game as he possibly can.
2-2, especially in a season with the Mariners 4-8 against Texas so far this year. The Rangers have gotten a lot of mileage out of beating the Mariners and the Astros.
And this is one of the most important parts of their season, coming in here for 4, but then playing Texas 7 of the next 10. And that could very well determine if they have any shot at all at the division race.
3-2, runners will go. And ball 4, bases loaded in the 4th inning. Mel Stottlemyre mulling over whether or not to become a part of Ariel Miranda's world on the mound. And there he goes. Your Sox math answer for tonight looks like this. Sox wins are 4. Chris Sale 14 strikeouts last night. That's 18 divided by Anderson's position. Shortstop is 6 on the diamond. That's 3. Minus just 1 hitless start for Omar Narvaez. The answer is 2. And K-Dog Bet is your winner tonight. Congratulations.
And that hitless game was almost on a technicality, because he was awarded a base hit, and then on further review the official score changed the base hit into an error. So but for that scoring change, he would have had a hit in every start, which has been pretty impressive. And this is one of the good things that came about. Not that it's good when you see Alex Avila go on the disabled list, but it was very good that Omar Narvaez had an opportunity. He's made the most of it. So Vidal Nuno getting ready in the bullpen.
Bases loaded, 2 out. Miranda to Anderson, and a foul ball. 0-1.
And all this has come. The double, the walk, the single, and the walk have come with 2 outs and nobody on. Sox on the verge, behind Jose Quintana, of making this one very difficult for these Mariners.
Ball and a strike. Miranda to Anderson. Avila, Saladino, and Eaton your runners. "31st pitch of the inning is ball 2. Thingamabobs, he's got plenty. 31 pitches for Ariel Miranda. 2-1 to Anderson.
90th pitch of the night coming up, which does not make for long performances anyway, even if he gets out of this.
On the ground, Marte completes the inning. It was fringy for a while, Miranda wriggles out of it. Sox get another run, though. It's 3-1 after 4. Of our viewers watching on I'm On in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. So welcome, hello to all of those watching on I'm On in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And some honorees at the ballpark today. That's the Clear Ridge baseball team, the 2016 Senior League World Series champions. We were talking about the Little League in Williamsport. They were the champions in Bangor, Maine earlier this year. First Senior League World Series victory for a team from Illinois in the 55-year history of that tournament. Beautiful country up there, lovely setting for a World Series.
And they had to get by Australia to do it. 55 years. Very exciting for the boys and the guys from Clear Ridge Baseball's team.
Great to see them out at the ballpark today. When you're talking about Little League is the younger guys, then there's the Junior League, and then the Senior League, and then the Big League World Series, which is in South Carolina. So the Senior League is the intermediate, essentially, between Little League and the Big League World Series. Gutierrez takes a strike. It is 1-2. Xander Bogaerts once played in the Senior League World Series
for the Netherlands?
For Curacao. Yeah.
Worked out pretty well for him. He's having quite a year. As is Mookie Betts.
I mean, you look at how stacked that lineup is. And then you look at what the Sox did against the Red Sox this year. Go to Fenway Park, win the series, and the season series overall. Two and two. Quintana gets a swinging strike 3. That's punch out number 5. And he may not be as flashy as Chris Sale, but he's as mystifying tonight. We see the curveball about 25% of the time for Jose Quintana. Here's what the Mariners look like against the curveball. Heredia, small sample size. Robinson Cano has been their best hitter against breaking stuff, but there are a couple of low numbers there, including Seager.
I would say for Cano, a batting average over 300 against curveballs is really good.
Fly ball center field. Adam Eaton into a jog for out number 2.
And I say it's good, which is an obvious statement, but I think it's good because I think that he guesses. I think many of those base hits that he got on curveballs, he was looking for it because he's one of the guys that understands at this point of his career what pitchers are trying to do with him. He can tell by the sequence what most likely is coming up. Now, sometimes hitters can't do it, as we saw earlier. Seager, after a couple of curveballs, took a fastball right down the middle for strike 3. He was obviously looking for something that didn't come, and when you take a fastball down the middle and you're as good a hitter as Kyle Seager is, you know that you're guessing. And I think that Cano does it better than most.
Well, just by reputation, the phrase guess hitter sounds almost like a shot at somebody, but it's not necessarily that.
No, it's just you're looking at a sequence and you're looking where a guy is throwing. It's not only are you looking for a certain pitch, but you're looking for a certain location.
Here's a hook for strike 2.
And as good as Cano is, he was mystified by Chris Sale last night. He struck out 3 times, all 3 times swinging. And the first time he saw him, he grounded to first base on a 3-1 putout. So nothing for Mr. Cano last night against Chris Sale. And there's a look at King Felix to Cano's left. Felix Hernandez. He's had his year interrupted with a calf injury, put him on the shelf for 47 days. What a terrific pitcher he is.
Brilliant last night. As there's ball 1 to Chris Iannetta, the Mariners catcher. Zunino on the bench today. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Very close pitch. Didn't get the benefit. 33-year-old catcher Chris Iannetta, hitting .215 this year. Two and two, Quintana. That was ball 3, wasn't it?
I think so. I think he's looking out
ball
there,
3.
and I think they're going to call him back.
Yeah.
Because, you know, in this league at least, you need 4 of them. It was a nice try.
Fake it till you make it, Chris.
Take another look at it. The ball is inside, and Chris Iannetta says, well, you know what? My chances of getting a hit aren't that great, hitting .215. So Jose is going, hold on. You can't walk anybody with 3 of them.
Hashtag Sox math.
There you go.
First correct catcher wins a prize. 3 and 2 from Quintana. And there is strike 3, which is all you get. 1-2-3 inning for Quintana at a 3-1 lead.
Yeah, long ago when people had transistor radios. That was right after the Ford came out. But, yeah, you used to hear Vin's voice all over the ballpark. But better recollections are, Chuck, he came up to me after one of the games when the Dodgers were in town and said, would you drop me off at the bus stop because the team bus leaves an hour after the ball game, and my wife is back at the hotel, and I would like to go back downtown ahead of the team. And at that point, I was working with Chip Carey, Harry's grandson, and Harry was no longer on this earthly plane. And I said,
the fly ball left field, and it's caught. That's not what you said. That's what just happened. One down.
I said, Vin, if I dropped you off at a bus stop on a Friday night in Chicago, Harry would come back from the way beyond and chase me all over the city of Chicago. So I will drive you back to the hotel, and I got a chance for 2 nights to talk to him about his life, his association with Ronald Reagan. They were neighbors in Pacific Palisades, and just get a feeling for the man, just not the broadcaster. He's a wonderful man, 67 years in broadcasting, and they just don't get any better. He's the best that ever lived.
There's a dart foul by Abreu off of Vidal Nuno, who's into the game after Miranda. 4 innings, 3 runs, all earned against Miranda. 3 walks and 1 strikeout, so Nuno is on. And there's a pop-up. Short center field, Robinson Cano for out number 2.
You want stormtroopers? We've got stormtroopers.
What do you think Vin would say about those stormtroopers, Steve?
Nothing.
You don't know. But the stormtrooper was invented in 1924. We need to get Pachorik back here. Just do his Vin Scully every once and again.
And
the Keith Jackson.
Explain how he got his name changed by Vin calling him Pachorik.
Pachorik. Frazier is single to left. Yeah. I had the game at Dodger Stadium a couple months ago and just got to meet Vin once. Rick Sutcliffe walked me into the booth, introduced me. I said hello. He was very gracious. I walked back in afterward and just said, hey, thanks for what you do. And just the warmth in being around Vin Scully. You know, he's got that beaming smile, and he's always so gracious from every story I've heard. There's no, oh, I met him one day and he was really off. I mean, that's just him, you know, that's just the core of the man. You listen to him and the way he manipulates the English language into such beauty. It is quite the sight to behold. Foul ball from Morneau, so a simulcast of Vin's call. How about that?
It's
Coming
really
up tomorrow.
It's really wonderful because he came from a time where he was doing all radio, and as a radio broadcaster, he was just like a painter, painting a beautiful picture of Dodger baseball. And the old saying is, we move forward, was that it's really amazing that there is no action at all that ever takes place when Vin is telling a story. Because on the radio, you can make the timing of the game and the pacing of the game be exactly what you want it to be. And, you know, he's carried over to television. He's a brilliant broadcaster. He does it by himself, which is absolutely unbelievable.
Do yourself a favor if you're a baseball fan and you're clicking around the MLB TV. The game the Dodgers played against the Orioles, I think it was the last game of the series, maybe the second game, whatever. It was on the 4th of July. And his whole open to the broadcast was basically the history of Francis Scott Key and our nation's anthem and Fort McHenry, with Baltimore not in town terribly often. It was an opportunity to talk about the history of our country. There's just something very elegant there.
The game's going to be a poor game for the loss of Vin Scully.
And this one is cracked by Morneau into the right field corner. Here comes Frazier around third. Morneau on his way to third with an RBI triple. Those 35-year-old legs can cook.
That was a really unusual defense in that they were playing him as a dead pull hitter in the infield, but Gutierrez was way off the line into right center field. So when Morneau took it down the line, which you'd expect him to do because he's a pull hitter, there was nobody home. You see how far off the line Gutierrez is. He's got no chance for this. And Justin Morneau with his first triple, possibly, quite possibly, his only triple.
Ground ball first base side and foul from Garcia. First triple since September 30th of last year for Morneau. And overall, the 23rd of his major league career. It's more than you'd expect.
Well, he was never really fast, but when he came into the game, he could run. Not a great runner, but a good runner. That, however, was a few injuries ago.
There's still some life in that bat.
Yes, there is, and we've seen that this year.
0-2. Yanked foul by Avi. Still 2 strikes. He doubled back in the 4th, Garcia did. It took Justin Morneau 2 seasons, 03 and 04, without a triple. Then his 3rd season in the majors, he had 4 in 2005 with the Twins. So 4-1 Sox, 2 triples in the game, Anderson and Morneau. A homer from Abreu, a double and a run scored for Garcia, and that ball in the dirt makes it 1-2.
Nice stop by Iannetta as he shifted to his right.
Two and 2 from Nuno to Garcia. That ball's crushed center field and way up and out in a heartbeat for Avi Garcia to one of the deepest parts of the ballpark. 6-1 Sox.
He reaches double figures in home runs, and now he's driven in 40. Our 4th home run replay. That looked like a changeup that he left up. Nuno will try to throw some screwballs on occasion, but that one didn't do anything.
The old Todd Frazier headbutt to wake you up. Golf shot left field, Avila. This ball carries. Heredia's back. It's gone. Back to back. And welcome back to Alex Avila.
After no contact the first 2 at bats, 1 a strikeout, 1 a walk, Alex goes opposite way. Our 4th home run replay. That's a fastball. It's low. It's right down the middle. And despite the effort by Heredia, no chance to get that one into the bullpen. Right, a couple of hops off the Vienna beef side.
4 straight hits, single, triple, homer, homer. This ball's hammered right center field and down. Saladino slams on the brakes as the Sox continue to gore Vidal Nuno.
Here comes Mel Stottlemyre, who's made some frequent trips to the mound this evening. Jose Quintana winning into double figures last time out. Maybe that is the charm to break what seemed to be a 4-year run of horrific luck.
Could you imagine, by the way, because you know, people say, well, sometimes it's luck. If the run support is luck, it should fall your way, it should break even. What if tonight was the night where it started that Jose Quintana was like the major league leader in run support for the next 2 years from today on?
Well, then you could see a steady diet of anywhere from 18 to 21 wins each year. He's that consistent as far as what he's done with the opposition. If it happens for him tonight, it'll be 7 straight games that he will have thrown giving up 2 earned runs or less. He's only given up 1 run and 2 hits through 5.
Left field, Heredia turns tail again. Into the corner he goes, and Heredia crashes into the wall without the ball as a present.
Looked like he had it in his glove, and then it got rattled out. It's foul, hits the bottom of the glove, and he takes a good shot. Ooh, that didn't feel too good.
You don't see too many ergonomically sound railings to run into as these parks were being built back in the 90s and early 2000s.
No, at least it's heavily padded these days.
Swing and a miss, strike 3. But a powerful inning for the Sox. 4 runs across, Morneau and the guys make it a 7-1 score.
I think E-Click Lending. With rates at an all-time low, don't wait. Lock in your low rate today with E-Click Lending. You never pay lending fees. Point, click, save. E-Click Lending.
Well, that was a fun inning, and it's got the dance party started. It's very choreographed and long.
That is the 7-run shuffle.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. Maybe we'll take him on the road.
You think so?
No.
Is there room on the charter?
No. Well, there is room.
What are those folks doing dancing in row 12? Who are they? One strike to Marte. And that's trouble into the left field corner for Ketel Marte. Leadoff two-base hit.
Only the third hit of the night given up. Martin with a double leading off the ball game. He later scored the only Mariner run, and then the base hit by Cruz. And this time Jose got one up. He didn't get it in quite as far as he would have liked, and Marte drills it.
Leonys Martin, who doubled and scored, as you were mentioning, in the first inning on that Cano sacrifice fly. It was 1-0 Mariners. And the Sox have rattled off 7 straight. There's a breaking ball for Martin, who has a hit in 13 of his last 14 games for the Mariners, who tomorrow will face Carlos Rodon. Taijuan Walker, the scheduled starter for the Mariners, tomorrow afternoon. Jam shot grounder. Quintana has only a play to first. And there's out number 1.
The Mariners are going to face, including this series, they realized they were going to face a lot of left-hand pitchers. They're going to see 2 for sure in Texas if things stay the way they are. And they got a chance, or they're going to see 3 here in Chicago with Carlos Rodon going to the mound tomorrow. 3 good ones: Sale, Quintana, and Rodon.
Foul ball from Heredia, who's 0 for 2. Now the Mariners scheduled to face Yu Darvish, Cole Hamels, and Martin Perez in that 3-game series in Texas. High for ball 1 on Heredia. Well, normally when you're up, you say about the pitcher, you can just start throwing strikes. Pump strike after strike after strike over. That's what Quintana does anyway.
Yeah, but he does it well. I mean, he throws strikes, but they're good strikes. They're painted on inside or outside. He's just not going to walk himself into difficulties. So when you do score, you've earned it, instead of Jose giving it to you.
Two balls and a strike on Heredia. Marte at third. 1 out, Mariners 6th inning. Fouled back toward us. Sox, meanwhile, will play the game with the Mariners tomorrow, then head off to Detroit to take on the Tigers, then a series with the Minnesota Twins before coming back home to stay in division. 2-2. Heredia lays off. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
That Tiger series is going to be a key series for the Tigers as they try, one, to hold off Kansas City and the other to catch Cleveland. Detroit found themselves 4.5 games back entering play tonight.
Foul ball off of Heredia. Scheduled pitchers in that series against Tigers: James Shields, Matt Boyd on Monday, Anthony Renato, Daniel Norris on Tuesday, then Sale Verlander Wednesday.
Nice matchup if all things stay the same. Verlander's having a huge bounce back year.
ERA at 3.33 for Justin Verlander.
With all the young pitchers in that rotation, Verlander is the steadying hand.
That'll get the Mariners a run. Heredia punches it down the right field side, and it's 7-2.
Only the fourth run driven in. And this ball is eye high. Normally, that's one of those fastballs that Jose is able to throw by hitters, but not this time.
So the Cuban Heredia with major league hit number 9. He is on for Robinson Cano. Ball 1. Well, sometimes it is more difficult to pitch with a large lead, but nobody wants to hear Jose Quintana and difficult to pitch with a large lead in the same sentence.
No, he's bearing down as hard as he can bear down. He's fortunate to have what now is a 5-run lead.
Boy, it was neat to hear his response to that 10th win last time out. He was overjoyed with finally getting into double figures in the win column.
I mean, you knew it was going to happen, but the longer it didn't happen, you wondered if it would ever happen. And against Oakland, he was very good. This is a much better ball club than the Oakland team. But Jose is very steady.
Off-speed strike, 1-2. We watched Sale last night. We watched Quintana tonight. The juxtaposition for you. What makes Quintana so good? I mean, Sale, it's obvious. The stuff is there. What makes Quintana the pitcher he is?
Well, because he can't overwhelm you, so he's got to use all 4 quadrants. He's got to throw in, out. He's got to throw up, down. And when you change the eye level of the hitter, you become doubly tough, because then not only is it the velocity, but it's location that can fool him. And when he started to consistently go up, he started to average a little around, well, maybe a touch below or a touch over 8 strikeouts per 9 innings. Chris Sale is just overwhelming, and you saw he can dominate a ball club as he did last night. But Jose Quintana, although he strikes out a lot of guys, he has to do it a different way. He doesn't, not possessed of a 97-mile-an-hour fastball, but he does have great command, and he's had that great command, great presence on the mound since he came into the league. We saw it very early in his career at Yankee Stadium when he got in trouble and seemed to just relax. And as the situation got more tense, he got more calm, and he's carried that throughout his career.
One and 2. That's outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. The unflappable left-hander Quintana, 2-2. On the ground and trickling past Frazier into left field. Heredia to third, throw is to second, and Melky has his man. Cano cut down at second.
That was a real bad base running play by Robinson Cano. You're sitting there 5 runs down, and you've got to know that Melky throws the ball very well. Inside out swing, takes it down the line, no chance for Frazier. But Melky throws it right on the button. And Tyler Saladino there to make the tag. Cano slides into it, and he was actually out by a good margin.
In the era of too close for comfort instant replay, that was a very obvious bash on the arm with the glove on the tag from Saladino. And Melky Cabrera adds to his assist total. There's Nelson Cruz with 2 out and a runner at third. I mean,
well, look,
inning building.
Yeah, you got to know, first of all, who's coming up behind you. He realizes he's hitting in front of Cruz, who can turn around a game in a heartbeat. If he stays at first base, Cruz were to hit a 3-run homer, you're right back in the middle of this game. By risking getting thrown out at second base, which is what happened, you're really hurting the ball club in that situation. So not something where a manager doesn't have to go to Robinson Cano and say, you know what, that's not a really good play. He knows it's not a really good play.
Ball and a strike. Shortstop Anderson down to get it. And there's the final out of the inning. Mariners threaten, get one, but no more. 7-2, bottom 6 next.
Time now for the greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile, and it's the year of Corey Seager, the younger brother of Kyle Seager. Hitting .323 as a rookie, 23 home runs, 37 doubles. Along with 62 driven in, he scored 87 runs, breaking the franchise record for home runs by a shortstop, held by Glenn Wright back in 1930. Historic year for Corey Seager.
Brother Kyle on this Mariners team, the middle brother Justin, also an athlete, and you know they kept getting bigger. Kyle was 6 foot, Justin was 6'2", Corey even taller, about 6'4", as this ball plunges toward right field and down. Tim Anderson hits that 2-hit mark again. He's 2 for 4 tonight. Here's Melky Cabrera. Kyle Seager, the Mariners Seager, was a basketball player in high school as well, and one of his claims to fame, or brief claims to fame, is that he guarded Steph Curry in basketball. Steph Curry was playing for Charlotte Christian. It was a strike. Nothing at 2.
That must have been a handful.
Well, what's amazing is Steph Curry didn't have much in the way of scholarship offers. He ends up going to Davidson and makes that magical run to the Elite Eight. Grounded foul. Then there were programs in North Carolina who passed on his brother, Seth Curry, who had a fantastic college career as well. I mean, once one happens, once one of Del Curry's sons can shoot, wouldn't somebody jump on the other one? Anderson at first, nobody out, 6th inning. And Vidal Nuno on the mound for the Mariners.
Well, this is one of the things that a manager has to learn, and that is there's some games, and they call it knowing when to eat a game, but there's some games where you can't deplete your bullpen in a situation where you're down 7-2 at this point.
In the air left field, Heredia, one away. All right, time for America's fastest growing sensation. We call it Sticks and Stone. Ken Griffey. How did you do against the elder Griffey?
Yes, that was Ken Griffey Sr. And he was really good. And I can remember a few infield hits, a few regular hits. I don't think I did very well. He was a talented left-hand hitter, a part of the Big Red Machine at a time when they didn't just beat you, they humiliated you. It was one of the most relentless offenses I had ever seen. If they had you down 6-0, they would try to beat you 12-0.
Is that right?
Yeah. They were as relentless as any team in the years that I played, and I saw the great Oakland teams of 3 straight World Series championships. I saw some great Yankee teams, and that Big Red Machine was just awesome, and Ken Griffey was a part of it.
Well, you said the Yankee teams passed the eye test maybe more than any other team, right? Just big dudes getting off the bus.
Well, the Yankees were always, I mean, I don't know if it was the uniforms or what it was, but the biggest team I ever saw was not a professional team. It was the Notre Dame baseball team.
Center field, and Leonis Martin has out number 2.
And that's because the Notre Dame baseball team, when I played against them in college, they had many of the football players playing on the baseball team. And they came off the bus, and each guy was bigger than the next guy. Two guys played in the NFL. A guy named Kevin Hardy, a guy named Rudy Kuchenberg. They both played baseball at Notre Dame as well as football, obviously. They made it to the NFL. You can bet they played at Notre Dame. But they were gigantic.
Like Frank Howard big?
Pretty close to it. 6'6", 300.
Ball 1 to Frazier. 1 on, 2 out, 6th inning for the Sox. So Griffey, you think?
I don't think I did very well against Ken Griffey. In fact, you could take most of that Big Red Machine and say the same thing. I don't think I did very well against him, except for George Frazier.
How about Todd Frazier? Into center field.
And I'll go back to George Foster instead of George Frazier because, yeah, I think that was probably it.
That's who you were going for?
Seeing as I came up through the minor leagues with George Foster.
Well, Todd Frazier's at first. Let's see how you did against Ken Griffey. 3 for 10 with a walk.
Yeah, that's not great. 300.
But no doubles, no triples, nothing in the extra base hit department.
True, but in Cincinnati was one of 2 major league teams that I didn't beat.
Really?
And the only major league team that I didn't beat that I didn't play for. So I had them beaten. I had them beaten Wrigley Field with 2 outs, nobody on. And Griffey got an infield hit and started a rally where they scored 2 runs to beat me.
Was it a good pitch at least? You threw to it?
Well, that was a good pitch, but he started the rally, and then it ended with Joe Morgan hitting a vicious one-hopper, but right in the glove of Andre Thornton. It popped out and scored 2 runs. And I lost that game. I can hardly remember back that far.
I was going to say, at least you're over it.
Yeah.
That's called strike 3 on the outside corner. Morneau is down on strikes. Nuno navigates the 6th. 7-2 Sox the lead. List and enter the Sox 16 sweepstakes. You could win one of 16 weekly prizes or monthly prize packs, as well as an amazing grand prize at the end of the season. Visit whitesox.com/Sox16 for complete details. Through 6 innings tonight, 7-2. The Sox with the lead. Lightsabers abound on Star Wars night, and Quintana will face Kyle Seager first here with the 7th.
6 innings, 5 hits, 1 earned run on the usual no walks, 6 strikeouts. Jose has been, as he usually is, very tough to hit.
Seager, Gutierrez, and Lee coming up. Kyle Seager with a ground ball, second base side. Anderson's over for out number 1. There's some controversy around Kyle's brother's team, the Dodgers. A.J. Ellis traded away to the Phillies a couple of days ago, and that's Clayton Kershaw's guy.
Well, that's his personal catcher.
Personal catcher. Yeah. Here's the quote from A.J. Ellis. Anything can happen in the future, but to know that in all likelihood I'll never get to catch him again is without a doubt the most devastating thing I'm feeling right now. Ellis and Kershaw both cried that day out in the dugout.
Yeah.
Very close. What's your stance on personal catchers?
Well, my feeling, and there's been, historically, there was Tim McCarver for Steve Carlton, was his personal catcher. I was really never good enough to have a personal catcher. I was happy to have a catcher. And so.
Were there days they didn't send anybody out for you?
I couldn't tell the manager I would like this guy, because he would tell me to shut up and pitch, and we'll put the guy in, whoever it is that, he's going to catch the ball, you throw it to him, and that's going to be that.
Sounds like a really verbose manager you played for there.
Well, I played
whoever
for a
you
lot
get,
of them,
you get.
and they told me the same thing. They said, I'm going to put the guy in I think can win, so you throw him the ball. That's kind of the way it goes. So when you're really good, you get a personal catcher. Otherwise, you just get a catcher. And actually, all I wanted him to do was block the ball in the dirt and occasionally throw somebody out stealing. And that was it, because I was going to call the game.
Frazier at third. 2 down.
That was a great play. Nice job by Todd Frazier. 1 step to his left. You don't have to be fast to play third. You have to have 1 quick step to either side. He's got it to his left. Makes the play. But my philosophy on letting the catcher call the game was, as soon as you show me a column that says losing catcher, I will let him call the game. The column says losing pitcher, so I call the game.
2 down. And there's strike 1 to Dae-Ho Lee. We also found out tonight that you played for De Niro. Hey, you get what you get. You do what you do.
That's it. Yeah, you get them, and you get them. And if you don't like it, you get them anyway. But as far as, look, the A.J. Ellis, Clayton Kershaw thing, it's a very sad thing. Really? Come on.
I think it's nice.
No, I mean,
I think it's interesting that the Dodgers would do something like that when the vibes were so positive and them getting as much out of a team that they were with so many injuries. It's a good clubhouse that you just caused some friction in.
Well, but understanding the philosophy of baseball is that you're going to do, if you're the GM, you're going to do whatever you can to make your team better. And they believed that Ruiz was better for the ball club, especially offensively, than A.J. Ellis. And I understand the chemistry and everything
But there's
else.
no capital B better, right? I mean, maybe you get more value from the position on the field.
Mm-hmm.
But what if what A.J. Ellis was providing in the clubhouse outweighs the value of Ruiz on the field?
My feeling is if that was happened, they wouldn't have made the move.
You can't quantify everything, Steve. You sabermetrics guy, you.
See, that's me. That's my middle name, Sabermetrics.
7-2 Sox at stretch time.
In a game, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite. And here's our Miller moment, and it came off the bat of Avi Garcia with a 2-run bomb. That made things a little more comfortable. Home run by Avila came next. That's the 10th of the year by Garcia, who's now driven in 40. Our Miller moment.
And here he is. Ball number 1 in the home 7th inning. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone, our entire crew, thanks for joining us on this lovely Saturday evening in Chicagoland. Hope you're having a wonderful weekend. Avi checks his swing. 2 balls, no strikes. Two balls, no strikes. That's a laser. Fair. Avi visits the left field line again. He's 3 for 4. All 3 extra base hits tonight. Of his 3 hits.
He hasn't been a cheapie in the bunch, as this is a cutter by Nuno. And Avi just rips it. In fact, it was hit so hard, didn't have a chance to hook foul. The high carom off the low wall. And he trots into second base. Big night for Avi Garcia.
And the return of Alex Avila has gone well. He's 1 for 2, home run and a walk. Avi Garcia with a 3-hit night tonight. Sox are in double figures and then some with 13 hits. We showed you a couple days ago the August leaders in double figure hit days, and the Sox are right up there with the top pack in Major League Baseball. It's one of those ifs and buts were candy and nuts sort of things. But Jose Abreu, with the numbers he's putting up, you pair that with what Melky was doing earlier in the season, and there's going to be a flip of this record.
Well, there's certainly no doubt about that. And I think Jose would be the first to tell you that he just couldn't find it. And it wasn't that he wasn't working hard enough, because he always works hard enough. He's very professional in his approach to the game, but he just could not find it. When the light turned on and he became the Jose we've seen over the last couple of years, he's been terrorizing pitchers around baseball. And you're right. Yeah, had it been the same way, it might be different this year. But there's, every team is saying the same thing about if we hadn't had this injury, if 3 of our hitters had just played up to the back of the baseball card, their yearly averages would be a whole lot better. But over 162, that's why there's no miracles. The best team wins the division over 162. Short series, anybody can beat anybody. That's why, regardless of what happens, the playoffs are always a crapshoot. You can lose to a team that you view as an inferior team, one that couldn't play with you in the division, and you can lose a series. The Cardinals won 83 games one year and won the World Series.
It's always interesting after the season to flip through the scorebook and say, "Ooh, this one," or "Oh, how'd we get that one," or whatever it might be. Deep to left field, Saladino. Heredia is back, and Saladino has left again. His 11th career home run, his 9th in this ballpark, and the Sox make it 9-2.
That's 7 home runs and 29 RBIs this year. Our Ford home run replay. Tyler Saladino on a cutter inside. In fact, that one was inside off the plate. He opened up, had time to get the good part of the bat on it, and rode it out of the ballpark.
Long ball in a big way tonight for the Sox, as Saladino puts up his 5th career 3-hit game. 3 of those 5 3-hit games have come against the Mariners.
He could become a professional opponent.
You're saying he'd be the Globetrotters and the Mariners would be the Generals?
Just take him around. He gets to play for the team that plays the Mariners.
Well, the Mariners' Double-A team in Jackson, Tennessee is the Jackson Generals. So a lot of these Mariners are former Generals. They could very easily be Generals again.
We're talking about the team that the Globetrotters beat each and every day, the Washington Generals, with the great Red Klotz as their shooter.
Sounds athletic.
Yeah, not so much, but a good shooter, and he made sure that the Generals never won, which is really important to the Globetrotters.
They have an image to portray. 3-2 for Eaton, as Vidal Nuno is the gentleman to take the brunt of this offense tonight. Eaton continues it. Base hit, center field. Fans experience Levy Restaurant's fine dining and service while enjoying a breathtaking view of U.S. Cellular Field from the First Merit Bank Stadium Club. Memberships are available to season ticket holders. First Merit Bank Stadium Club is also perfect for non-game day events, including weddings and corporate parties. For more information, call 312-674-1000. It's a beautiful place to have a lunch, have a dinner, watch a baseball game.
We had a lunch there the other day with a great many of the front office folks.
No Sundays served, though.
Ooh, no, we didn't. But the cookie, there were cookies.
There were cookies.
I really love chocolate chip cookies.
You do?
Yes. In fact, I had to tear myself away. I should still be back there.
That's what those wild horses were for. Seager to second. That's a brilliant double play by the Mariners.
What a great job that was.
Fading into foul ground, he ends the inning. 9-2 Sox. The lead and our Xfinity high-speed action replay.
And here it is tonight, one of the prettiest double plays you'll ever see. In the foul territory goes Seager, and Cano athletically across the bag. Two off-balance throws right on the button. Worthy of the Xfinity high-speed action replay, and look how quickly they did it.
It'll change the way you experience TV. That sort of replay.
That was quite a play.
Well, we told you Seager is a former basketball standout. You can tell. I mean, the athleticism in that family is through the roof.
Yep.
So Jose Quintana back out for more. Chris Iannetta, his first opposition in the eighth. 9-2 Sox. And ball one to Iannetta. Two balls, no strikes. The former fourth-round pick for the Rockies in 2004 out of North Carolina. A math major at UNC, Chris Iannetta.
There was a time that the Rockies thought Iannetta was going to be a huge run producer and their everyday catcher. Didn't work out quite as well for him as he would have liked. Now he's playing a backup role to a guy they view is going to be a star, and that's Mike Zunino, who we've seen the first couple of games of this series. Iannetta getting the nod tonight.
Fouls it away. 2-2 on Iannetta.
Sox pen up and going. Jacob Turner. Dan Jennings. Jose still under 100 pitches.
There's ball 3.
He crossed him up on that one. And Alex is saying to Jose, I'm not sure you saw that one well. Watch out, Alex. He's looking for a breaking ball down. He gets a fastball and has to pretty much defend himself on that.
Three-two is high. Ball 4. First walk tonight for Jose Quintana. Well, Iannetta last time he was up made an effort to walk on the 3rd ball. This time he gets to 4 and takes his base, and a visit from Don Cooper. Drive away in a new White Sox themed Mazda CX-3 and support Chicago White Sox charities. Buy your raffle ticket today at whitesox.com/car. Thank you to our friends at CJ Wilson Mazda for their support of the Sox car raffle. Here's Marte. So Quintana got 4 in a row prior to the walk from Iannetta. 3 groundouts and a swinging strikeout from Dae-Ho Lee, the last of those 4 outs. And Marte takes ball number 1. Line to left field. Melky is there. So Iannetta retreats to first, and 1 out in the 8th.
The Mariner bullpen up and going, and it's a man they just called up.
Dan Altavilla from Double-A Jackson.
Yeah, he's a hard-throwing right-hander that was a starting pitcher. It's a lot like Edwin Diaz. Well, he doesn't throw as hard, but they moved him out of the starting role, put him into the bullpen. He's actually picked up 3 or 4 miles an hour. We saw that with Glenn Perkins of Minnesota when he made the transition from a starting pitcher to a closer in that case. Same thing with Diaz. Diaz now throwing 100. He wasn't going to throw 100 as a starting pitcher. You just have to work too many innings and throw too many different pitches and work in a changeup every now and then.
Breaking ball strike. Quintana to Leonis Martin. 102 pitches for Quintana. Gave up the leadoff double, which came around to score. Then 1 more run in the 6th, and that's all she wrote for the Mariners tonight. That was strike 3 that did not get called, and it had all of the zone.
Pretty good pitch. Sometimes you just miss him. Paul Emmels had a very good night behind the plate. Alex Avila did a nice job of not going down with it, but didn't get the benefit of the call.
One, 2. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Not even close to the curveball. 2 out.
Drops this one low and away. Out of the zone. And here comes Robin. He figures with 104 pitches and the kind of lead he has, he's going to save him a few pitches in this one.
Bullpen needs some work anyway after Sale didn't give him anything to do yesterday.
Well, that's what you expect from your 1 and 1A guys. You expect them to go deep into the ball game. That's exactly what they did.
How about the nod from Quintana to Avila, and then the nod for Quintana from the crowd?
Yeah, I mean that's just great. This fandom really appreciates Jose Quintana. He gives him a tip of the cap. And so, Dan Jennings comes in. We'll step out and be back after these messages. Now for the Midas Tire and Auto Service experts, call to the pen, and it is Dan Jennings. He comes on for the 49th time, 4-3 ERA, still below 2. He's been very quietly very good out of the bullpen this year. And he inherits Ionette at first base. They're not holding him close. In a 9-2 ball game.
Jennings to Heredia. Ball 1. So if the numbers hold for Quintana, that'll be 11 earned runs in his last 8 starts. $11 earned in his last 8 starts.
I would say that's pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah, that'll do it for you.
Well, look, he's not as dominating as Felix Hernandez was in the year when he won the Cy Young Award with a record of 13-12. But over the course of the last 4 years, he's been one of the best pitchers in baseball. And when you look at the records, you just have to shake your head because he never really gets the amount of wins commensurate with his ability. It's going to be nice to see this year when he wins 14, maybe 15 games. Because if you ask managers around baseball about Jose Quintana, they'll give you the same answer that John Farrell of the Boston Red Sox said to me when he said he is absolutely, and nobody's in second place, the most underrated pitcher in all of baseball.
Yeah, and you know, if we were looking on game notes and looking on screen all the time and hearing people talk about pitching matchups as WAR and ERA, right?
Yeah.
Quintana would be, in people's minds, one of the top 10 pitchers in Major League Baseball. He's 8th best in WAR coming into tonight. That's not going to drop. He's about a 4-win player as play started today. Down the left field line and foul. And I know the object, again, is winning the games, and I know it's important to him, but you look at the names that are top 8 in WAR: Syndergaard, Jose Fernandez, Corey Kluber, Max Scherzer, Chris Sale, Masahiro Tanaka, Johnny Cueto, Jose Quintana, then Bumgarner, Verlander, and Strasburg to round out the top 11. Nobody's ever going to argue with those guys as being some of the best pitchers in baseball.
Well, they are. I mean, that's a who's who of baseball.
So you're just more likely to have a more accurate representation, especially with the run support issues that Quintana's had. But then again, there's no song that has the lyrics, Wins and losses, what are they good for? 9-2 Sox after 7.5.
Dan Altavilla.
Major League debut.
Yeah, from Double-A Jackson, Single-A Jackson, and Double-A this year. Combined 7-3, ERA 2.38. Hard-throwing right-hander. And might have found his spot coming out of the bullpen. They are still looking for a quality setup man to hand the ball to Edwin Diaz.
A day he'll never forget. Altavilla with ball number 1.
He got well under that fastball. That's the reason it stayed up. And they list him at 5'11". Might be a touch shorter than that, but he's got to stay on top of it. So between innings, Jose Quintana, Alex Avila talking it over. Alex with wonderful orange nail polish.
Quick throw from Seager. And there is out number 1. On the road traveling and want to watch your Chicago White Sox? Subscribe to MLB.TV Premium for live or on-demand baseball on over 400 devices. Real-time highlights, live look-ins, pitch tracking, and more. Blackout and other restrictions apply. Visit MLB.TV for details. Well, what Dan Altavilla gets by making his Major League debut here in Chicago is to play in front of this crowd and avoid a road trip to Biloxi. That's where Double-A Jackson is right now.
Well, I'm sure that he's most unhappy to miss that one. No heat and humidity down there.
5-game series against the Shuckers.
They also haven't had a whole lot of rain
this decade. 0-1. Yanked to third. Seager again on Abreu for out number 2.
Time for our PNC Bank upcoming schedule. We got one more game here with the Mariners in this homestand. And then it's off to Detroit for 3 against the Tigers and on to Minnesota with 4 against the Twins. Our PNC Bank upcoming schedule.
A lot of hay to make in the American League Central down the stretch, whether it's getting in the way of the Tigers, the Indians, the Royals.
And the Tigers tonight battling the Angels and not faring very well at this point, down 3-1 late in that game. Kansas City getting hammered by Boston.
And all that said, and I know you look at the percentages, even if you win this game, you're 62 and 66. The numbers are very slight on playoff chances, but you go on one run, and it does change the prism with which you view the season. So we'll see as the Sox get reacquainted with the American League Central how September goes.
I will tell you one thing that has always held true.
The sky's blue.
Well, that also, and the sun's going to rise in the east. But in 14 years of professional baseball, not one time did I ever come to a baseball game and see a guy go out there without the single goal of winning that baseball game that day, and it didn't matter where the team was at any one given time. I'm not going to tell you that everybody bared down for 9 innings when you're 40 games back, but I will tell you that these guys want to win each and every day.
Altavilla with an impressive Major League debut. It's 9-2 Sox after 8.
Baseball on CSN Chicago comes to you Tuesday night from Detroit as our Sox face Miguel Cabrera and the Tigers. It all starts at 6 p.m.
Do they get CSN Chicago in Ireland?
You know, it's going to be really nice, your trip there. You're going to have a wonderful time.
Thank you.
You got some great advice from Bob Vorwald, who was in the booth. Make sure about your crossing the street.
When you step off the curb, make sure you're looking the proper direction.
Right, because it's just the opposite.
Jacob Turner is in for the Sox, and a foul ball.
We'll look at the numbers on Jacob Turner. On for the 13th time. 1-2. ERA a little higher than he would like.
By the way, you know, over the course of 162 baseball games during a season, or 140 in the minors, whatever it is, you miss certain events because of baseball, right? I mean, there's the paternity list now where players can get a couple days to go see their children being born or whatever it might be. But, you know, TV crews as well sometimes have to miss certain events, right? And we missed a party yesterday. You know that?
Well, I've missed a lot.
There was a going away party.
For
our friend in the truck, Mike Leary.
I knew that it was going to be very difficult because of the timing of that one to actually get down there and get back here. But yes, but we're going to see him. Although the going away party was yesterday, he is not going away quite this soon.
There's ball 4 outside to O'Malley, pinch hitting for Cano. But this is our chance to give Mike a going away present because we missed the party yesterday. So good luck, best of luck to Mike. I know we're going to see him coming up for a series, but it's always nice to talk about him when he's not here. So best of luck to Mike, our compatriot for me, all of, 12 games we did together. But he's a wonderful guy, and he'll do a great job, and we look forward to seeing the great things that he does down the line.
Well, he's going to Dallas to broadcast for the Stars.
Ground ball up the middle into center field, and 2 on. Well, he better not be broadcasting for the Stars. I don't want him behind a microphone. That's not going to go so hot.
Well, that's true. Maybe he'll take a back seat. But I do know that Pat Foley and Eddie Olczyk thought the world of him. They made a great hockey broadcast with the Blackhawks, and we certainly wish him well in his future endeavors. And we're going to run into him a time or two, along with Nicole and his 2 lovely children, who I'm going to go out on the line and say that his children will eventually, in the not too distant future, make more money than Mike.
You think so?
Yeah, because they're models.
Strike 1 to Seager with 2 on, nobody out in the 9th inning.
That's the truth. They continue with that career in show business. They will emancipate themselves and leave Mike and Nicole, but best of luck, Mike.
Yes. Line drive left field for Seager. Melky's up with it. O'Malley screeches the brakes at third. Bases loaded, nobody out in the 9th inning. We interrupt this Mike Leary farewell tour for a dicey situation.
Yeah, the last thing that Robin wants to do is have to go to that bullpen again, but you get the bases loaded, nobody out, and Don Cooper coming out. He wants the bullpen to get loose. It's Nate Jones. You certainly didn't want to use him here with the short turnaround, the day game tomorrow, and then no off days as we head to both Detroit and Minnesota, but Jacob Turner having some problems.
1 ground ball alleviates most of those problems, as long as it's hit at a person wearing pinstripes.
Well, especially because Franklin Gutierrez these days doesn't run particularly well. Mostly hits the ball in the air. He's only grounded into 5 double plays this year, although he's played pepper with Todd Frazier at third base a couple of times.
Strikeout in between. He's 0 for 3. Ball 1 on Gutierrez. Mariners can change a game in a hurry with 177 home runs entering play tonight. 3rd most in the American League. One ball pitch. 2-0.
It's Star Wars night, and Don Cooper and a few of the stormtroopers are starting to get nervous.
Two and 0 on Gutierrez. That ball's tagged deep to left field. Melky's back there for out number 1. O'Malley tags and scores. It's 9-3. And the folks here at U.S. Cellular Field try to extract their hearts from their throats.
I think Gutierrez thought he got this. The way he took a look at it, he's wondering how it didn't go out of the ballpark. But as that one got to the track, it seemed to just die as Melky went back, measuring it all the way. There's actually a couple feet to spare. And
So the Mariners, sorry about that.
The sacrifice fly doesn't look quite as good as a grand slam.
Mariners are going to go to the bench for Adam Lind to hit for Dae-Ho Lee. So one of the lefties on the bench utilized. Seth Smith is still available as well, a left-hander on the bench, along with the right-handed catcher Zunino. Turner to Lind with one out and a run in. Strike one call. Sox are trying to get to 5-3 on this homestand to guarantee a winning homestand, with one more in the balance tomorrow. Pretty good pinch hitter, Adam Lind.
I would say so. 319 for a career. He's hit 5 home runs. We've seen one of those. That wasn't pretty. Big power the opposite way.
2-1. Jacob Turner trying to close it out. 2 balls and a strike. Fouled off, 2-2.
That last pitch is actually right where Lind wants it. Maybe out a little too far, but he likes the ball away. It's not that far away. And Jacob is, to this point, keeping everything away.
Two and two. Bounces away, not far enough for anyone to chance it for the Mariners in a 6-run game. Well, Robin Ventura certainly doesn't want to have to scramble the Nate Jones Jets in this 9th inning if he can avoid it. Lind gave him some help. It touched the ground. Foul ball.
And Robin is going to discuss this with Paul Emmel.
Yeah, if he got a piece and it hit the ground, it's a foul ball.
Yep.
If he didn't get a piece, first base is occupied. He's out.
Well, Alex probably would be saying something if he didn't think that he got maybe one of the stitches on top of the ball.
3-2. Outside, ball 4. They're loaded. Robin came out to argue for a moment. Now he comes out for a longer term to make a change. Bases loaded, 1 down for the Mariners. Their 6th hitter of the inning will come up. Iannetta scheduled. Nate Jones out of the bullpen. 9-3 Sox in protection mode.
finest tire and auto service experts call to the pen, and it is Nate Jones. He's on for the 59th time. It's 5-2 ERA, 2.5. He is checking with Saladino and Anderson as to who to go to if the ball comes back to him.
Seth Smith will pinch hit.
If the ball comes back to him on a one hopper, you might as well just go home with it. Go home to first for the double play.
And then go home for real.
And then call it a night. But Smith is a pretty tough hitter. Usually has very good at bats against the right-handers, and 4 for 24, which is not great as a pinch hitter.
Ball one. Well, on the off day prior to the Cleveland series during the last road trip, a contingent of Sox players and staff members went to Cedar Point, the amusement park in Sandusky, Ohio, but this was not the thrill-seeking they had in mind. In a white-knuckle ninth inning tonight, that's just about over. Anderson, double play.
Pretty successful way to get out of that and end the ball game for Nate Jones as the Sox winners of 2 of 3 with 1 more remaining. And Jose Quintana going to 2 above 500, winning his 11th game. And Jose Quintana was just brilliant tonight, going 7 2/3, giving up a couple of runs, only 1 of them earned on 5 hits with a walk and 8 strikeouts. Doesn't get much better than that. Got a lot of run support, and the fans really appreciated his effort.
Sox are winners. Robin Ventura has guaranteed a winning homestand. His team goes to 5-3 on this trip through U.S. Cellular Field. And we say goodnight from Chicago. For our director, Jim Angio, producer John Walgren, associate producer Mike Norman, tech manager Mark Harper, and the executive producer Jim Corno Jr. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti saying so long for our entire crew from U.S. Cellular Field. Coming up next, Subaru Postgame Live with Chuck and Bill. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on Comcast Sportsnet.